The Good Son is the best showcase of child acting I have seen to date. We get both Elijah Wood and Macaulay Culkin starring in The Good Son. We see Elijah Wood's character try desperately to prove to his uncle and aunt that Culkin is a homicidal maniac and not the cute innocent child he appears to be. His efforts to prove that Culkin is a monster don't go very well, and it quickly becomes a game of cat and mouse between the two children. Now, most child actors would fail at providing convincing performances of such a complex dynamic. However, these two's performances are stunning. They feel far from childish, and that's why this film is so good. Evil Children always creates an extra layer of horror, but few films have children with the acting chops to use that effectively. If you're a fan of horror films, this is an absolute must-see, particularly because there's nothing supernatural to this evil little asshole. He's just a bad kid. The Imitation Game is a very different kind of war film. It centers around Alan Turing, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, inventing the computer to crack the Enigma code, which was the code Germans used during World War II. It brings up some very interesting ideas about the nature of war, and the idea of killing a man without ever meeting him or even seeing him. There are no gunfights or bravado in this film like one would usually expect. Instead, there are fits of emotions and intellectual genius, which is largely dismissed by their peers, because those involved are not the soldiers that we've been taught to respect. It's ultimately a very sad story, and not something I would recommend to someone looking for an uplifting film. But there are lessons to be learned from The Imitation Game that reach far beyond something like Saving Private Ryan. The characters and themes of this film are what make it exceptional, so if you're ready for a rather dry, poignant historical drama with deep emotional characters, then try out The Imitation Game. You won't leave happy, but you might learn something. The Rundown is a fun film that stars Seann William Scott and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. We get to watch Dwayne play a total badass bounty hunter looking for Sean in South America. Sean plays his typical cocky self and basically does everything he can to make The Rock miserable. The chemistry of the two leads gives us some superb humor, and Dwayne showcases plenty of his WWE moves to keep the action flowing. It's a nice, simple movie, but it has more than enough charm to keep you interested from start to finish. An easy pick if you want an action comedy and enjoy either of these actors. Black Hawk Down is a film I almost hesitate to recommend just because it really pushes the war is cool mentality. But at the same time, damn is this some crisp, top quality action. We get a group of Rangers and Delta Force soldiers surrounded by thousands of Somalian soldiers. It's basically an impossible situation for the Americans to overcome. The story, such as it is, was based off of the Battle of Mogadishu, wherein a simple operation to dispatch a warlord went terribly wrong. This is a film that entirely downplays the psychological and moral tragedy of wars and instead focuses on the proficiency and courage of the soldiers involved. While I appreciate the criticisms this film receives for not touching in on those negatives, at the end of the day, the message is still genuine. These people do what they do because they're the only ones who can do it. If you like war films and are capable of enjoying a less touchy-feely perspective on war, Black Hawk Down is a solid choice. Scarface is one hell of a movie. I view it as the counterbalance to The Godfather in many ways. Well, in The Godfather we get to see a slow-paced gangster film where cool wit and a steady hand rules the world. In Scarface, violence, anger, and rage rule supreme. Tony Montana is a monster of monumental proportions. Unlike Michael, who acts to protect his family or because it's good business, Tony Montana is guided solely by his greed and his emotions. Watching this beast of a man both conquer and self-destruct simultaneously is remarkable. While the rest of the cast performs admirably and the cinematography is quite well done, the reason this film is remembered is because of the sheer intensity of Al Pacino's acting as Tony Montana. Truly a classic in cinema that one needs to see to understand the gangster genre. Check it out if you enjoy films like Goodfellas, Casino, Godfather, or any other film or TV show that has a mobster, thug, or straight-up G in it. So that was Netflix Recommends number 13. Jamin can't make it here today, so I'm just going to do a quick outro by myself. So we had two different war movies, very different styles, pretty much as polar opposite as you can get with war movies. One that's all action, all bravado, all heroism. The other, which is a lot more of a dry, drama-filled character piece, I would say. So, if you like war movies, I gave you a good variety there to pick between. I also threw in The Rundown just to keep things a little bit more upbeat, because everything else on this list I realized is pretty sad or violent. So, yeah, Rundown's just a nice, happy comedy film that you can enjoy. I mean, it's fun to watch Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Seann William Scott screw around. They do a really good job in that film. And, yeah, that's why it's in there. It's not a great movie, but it's a fun movie. And I think that it's important to just have fun movies every now and then. And then there's the last two on here, which are Scarface, a classic of cinema, one that has really defined the gangster genre in a lot of ways. As I said in the review, it's kind of the counterbalance to Godfather. So it's a movie that you really want to check out if you enjoy gangster films, because it's really monumentally impactful in that regard. Like Tony Montana as a character, everyone remembers, that everyone's going to continue to remember for years and years, decades, maybe even forever. I don't know how film's still a pretty new medium, but yeah, it's a hell of a movie. And then last guy on the list was The Good Son, which is something a lot of people don't even know exists. And man, is it a great movie. Like, honestly, I really enjoy The Good Son. One of the better horror films I've seen, just kind of in general. Really great cinematography, really great acting, and that's the big one. The acting out of those two child actors playing off of one another, it really sets the bar high. I can't recommend it enough to you if you enjoy horror films at all, or either of those actors. You should really check it out, especially since it's on Netflix, so it's easy to get to. Yeah, those are all the recommends for the week, and hey, if you guys enjoyed what you saw here, you can click on the links below. Yeah, those doors there, they'll take you to separate videos. And leave a comment, subscribe. If you really want to, you can support us on Patreon. Up to you guys. But yeah, show us your support. And let me ask you if you've seen any child acting that compares to The Good Son. Because that's the biggest thing for me on the list is, like, what other kids could do those roles so perfectly? What other films have child acting that's that good? Let me know, post in the comments below. Talk to you guys later. See ya.